Keys to Power. Unfortunately, not much has changed since the days of the Medicis or Louis XIV. People who acquire a significant position of power view themselves like kings and queens. They want to be the center of attention, the ones superior to those around them in terms of wit, charm, intelligence, and really everything else. They simply don't want anyone to challenge their position, fearing that they will lose everything they worked for. They are constantly on the lookout for potential threats and attempt to deal with them as soon as possible. Therefore, sensing a potential rival inflames their insecurity, and then they can become liable to do anything to secure their position, which today usually means replacing you with someone far less of a threat. Observance. The Godfather. In The Godfather 2, Michael Corleone was preparing for the deal that would open the doors that would take him to the literal heights of power.
One small step, looking for a man that wants to be president of the United States, and having the cash to make it possible.
But he had to go through Hyman Roth, a longtime mob associate and former member of the Corleone Mafia organization under Don Vito Corleone. Although at the time Michael was the most powerful mafia boss in the country, Roth still maintained a very high position and influence among the elite members of the criminal underworld. Roth still viewed himself as a player in the game, even though he acted as if he was just a retired veteran of the mafia, a wise and generous mentor. But behind that facade and his health-related complications, he nonetheless wanted to remain in control, as he had for years. To him, he was still the master. So, even though Michael was now at the top of the mafia and arguably more powerful than Roth, since he still thought of himself as the master, Michael needed to make sure he didn't overtly outshine him. Hence why Michael took the approach of the student, wanting to gain the wisdom and expertise of this wise mentor.
Whatever I can do to help Michael.
So, Michael applied this law perfectly. He made sure that Roth was secure in his position and that he was his student rather than equal.
You're a great man, Mr. Roth. There's much I can learn from you.
But as we soon find out, Roth had no real interest or intention in actually involving Michael in the deal. Rather was using it as a mere smokescreen to hide his real intentions. But this didn't need to change Michael's strategy. In fact, playing along as if he knew nothing was the correct move to make, as it allowed him to put Roth at ease.
I want him completely relaxed and confident in our friendship.
We can also see Roth's insecurity when Michael brings up a very valid point in which challenged what Roth had previously stated.
It occurred to me, the soldiers are paid to fight, the rebels aren't.
What does that tell you?
We can win.
It's in their blood, believe me, I know. I've been coming here since the 20s. We were running molasses out of Havana when you were a baby.
And you will also know the exact practical steps and strategies you can start using today in your own life. Let's begin. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. In your desire to please and impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite, inspire fear and insecurity. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain the heights of power. Transgression of the law. Outshining the master may be the worst mistake of all. And unfortunately, it's a very common mistake. But what's worse is that most people aren't even aware they're breaking it. So when they reap the repercussions of their actions, they're bewildered and confused, not knowing what went wrong. Breaking this law can be fatal, and history has proven this, which is why you need to understand this law and learn from the mistakes of others. By the end, you will also know the exact practical steps and strategies you can start using today in your own life. Reversal. You don't need to be constantly paranoid of offending everyone you meet or interact with, even those above you. The key is to know exactly when. The laws of power state, You must be selectively cruel. If your superior is a falling star, there is nothing to fear from outshining him. Do not be merciful. Your master had no such scruples in his own cold-blooded climb to the top. Gauge his strength. If he is weak, discreetly hasten his downfall. Outdo, outcharm, outsmart him at key moments. The law also states that if he is very weak and is ready to fall, don't get involved. Let nature take its course. Either way, you just need to be patient and wait for the right moment. Power eventually weakens and slowly fades, so the master will someday fall. Play it right, learn from Fouquet and Galileo, and you will then someday have no problem outshining the master. Of course, today the consequences may not be as lethal as in the past, but the principles are still exactly the same. The law still applies, even today. But even so, don't take this law too literally. Here's a few ethical ways you can start using this law in your own life. Don't be quick to claim all the glory or credit for your accomplishments without acknowledging those who helped you achieve them, especially those above you, such as any mentors or other superiors who have invested and put you in that position. But, and this is very important, make sure you don't overdo it. It becomes unbearable and will have the opposite effect. Try to be as genuine as possible. Secondly, don't show off or flaunt your talents and capabilities at the expense of your superiors. Learn the art of timing. Also, it's naive to think that because you have a great relationship with your superiors, that allows you to do whatever you want. Understand that if you're not careful, you can and will be replaced. One of the most important lessons that the Godfather himself instilled in Don Michael was to keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. But what does that mean, and how can you use it in your own life? Don Vito was actually describing Law 2 of power. It may initially seem the most evil or Machiavellian law in the laws of power, but if you look deeper, you'll find that there is a somewhat hidden principle that people often overlook, a skill that all those who reach the top of their fields have mastered, and by the end, you too will understand and master this strategy, helping you conquer your goals.